Okay, so before we go on to the second signature, I wanted to go back here to the centerfold of the first signature and show the method I used of getting these signatures into the journal cover. And I'm sure you noticed that they kind of move around a bit. And that is because I used a no-sew application here. So it is actually just, it's a, a springy, elasticized string or cord. And I put the grommeted holes in the spine of my, grommeted holes in the spine of my cover, and then threaded these elasticized cords through there. And I did that because I made these signatures so bulky. I wanted to be able to remove them from the journal fairly easily so I can work on them outside of the journal. And this was actually adapted from an idea from Barbara. Her channel is called 49 Dragonflies. So she had done something similar, and I just did a quick, really unfinished version of what she had done for my journals. So I wanted to share that. So on to the second signature, and this is Ruby and Pearls. It is the paper that I did this faux glassine out of was Ruby and Pearls Labelle. It's one of the pages in that collection that she has on Etsy. So Ruby and Pearl, and it is her Labelle kit. And this is, again, this journal has, or this signature has kind of an oceanic theme. So again, that Le Vintage Chocolat paper, I think I have that in the first, I think I addressed that in the first signature, but that is on Etsy as well. Her shop is called Le Vintage Chocolat, and this paper is one in one of her kits, and the roses are actually much bigger. I shrunk this down and it's actually applied like 6 times to a full US printer paper page, if that makes sense. I just did it in OpenOffice. You can also use Word or whatever word processing program you use, and just shrink it down and copy and paste it over the entire page, and you get something like this. And it is tea stained, and I used a regular this was Tetley tea that I used on here, and then I did use another tea method or tea staining method, and I'm going to show that in a video in the future because it's like magic and it's fun. So I wanted to show that individually. And I used cheap glue on this, and it is coming apart there. I'll have to redo that with some good glue. Some things you can use cheap glue on, and some things you can't. So this is also Ruby and Pearl. This is in her Seaside Dreams kit, and I've used this kit quite a bit in this signature. I think that is so beautiful with the swans, and it's not an ocean theme, but I don't think, maybe it is seaside, but it's got swans, so I think it's probably supposed to be a pond or a lake. And then this was just another scrap of fabric, and this is actually from one of the Ruby and Pearl kits as well. It was just a little scrap, and I cut it around some of the flowers, folded it over, put a little bit of very thin cardboard in here, did the grommet, and I have Let me turn it over here. You can see I put a little memories sentiment there. And then I've got some journal jewelry with seashells and some beads from broken jewelry, and yeah, so that's kind of fun. I'm going to put that aside so I don't have to mess with it. This is Cotton and Twig, one of her kits, and I meant to check on Etsy and see if her shop is open again. She had taken hiatus for a while, so I'm not sure if her kit, if her shop is open, but her kits are just gorgeous as well, and I love them. So tea stain paper, little coffee cup stain, and this is part of a kit of like whale stamps, I think is what it is. And when I get my Amazon storefront up and running, I will link the stamps, the little charm kits that I have purchased. I'll link a bunch of stuff in there. Some things that I've used to save a little bit of money. So again, this is Ruby and Pearl Seaside Dreams. And this is, I just absolutely love this kit. This is from a shop that is called Vintage Book. Let me see, I've got it written down here. Old Book Vintage is the name of the shop. And I just love this kit. There's very few with like wooden rigger ships. Very few kits I've found that have wooden rigger ships and, you know, this kind of oceanic theme. And I love that. I was so happy to find it. I just did some draft printed paper for that. This one's coming apart too. Yeah, I had gotten some glue at Dollar General, and it's really good for some applications, but you know, when you've got something that is high stress like this, you can't use that cheaper glue. Seaside Dreams again, and I used a journaling card as a pocket, which I did in the other signature as well. And this is just a piece of a stencil that I put on that page that I tea stained. And then this is that blue tropical floral paper printed in standard. It's a standard print. So that is not the best print, but it's not draft either. And a stencil on tea stain paper. And then these are, let me see, what is the name of that? That is, sorry for the dead air here, but something Hobby Helper. And they have a bunch of kits with just lots of ephemera in it. And this was, if I think of the name, I will say that on here. I've got a bunch of their digital hobby helpers. That's the kit. That's the shop on Etsy. This was just a picture I found online on an image board, and it was of a peacock, like, you know, sun stained glass sun catcher thing for your window. And I turned it into a graphic on Canva again. And there's that blue tropical floral, and I distressed it quite a bit. This is in one of the Ruby and Pearl kits. It's part of a page in there. She has this paper, and I blew it up. I just cut away the rest of the page and blew this image up because it's a William Morris, actually, and yeah, I just love it. So I'm going to try to speed up because I just tend to take too long doing these, and these videos get really long. So this is a Thomas Kinkade image, and I have messed, you can see in Canva, you can tweak these pictures however you want. And then I did put some pearlized paint on some of the clouds, the waves, the light in the lighthouse. But that's a lot of fun. If you go on Canva, Canva, and you can just upload pictures and make your own digitals. There is a free account you can do, but there's a lot more tools if you pay for it. So, and there's different levels, I think, of access that you can join for. So this was another image online on an image board, and this was also an image of just a wooden floor that had been painted, and so I used that as the background and put the cameo in front of it and just put a frame. And then I wrote, because I felt like it needed more on there, and I was out of imagination at that point. I just wrote designed in Canva land and called it good. It filled the page, I think, balanced it out. I have a little belly band here. It's just a strip of paper, and then this is just a few little flowers cut out of a floral page. Hopefully you can see that. Over here, I just folded the corner up and I glued it across here. And I put, this image is from Digital Hobby Helpers. Again, all these little images of seashells and ships and things are from Digital Hobby Helper, and I won't keep saying that. So this is open here. It's just glued across here to make a little pocket, a tuck spot. And these images are both from Ruby and Pearl's Seaside Dreams kit. And then this, I left a little spot here and put a little ticket there. And I usually don't care much for tickets, but I've used a few in my journals. Tried to use them in creative ways and slip them in where there was a little space. So I've got some Cherish Horse graphics here. This little pocket is part of one of her kits. And this tag is from her Renaissance kit. And she has some incredibly beautiful kits, very well thought out, and yeah, love those little images. This is one of my graphics, and I'm cuckoo over the ocean and ships and sea creatures, and that's a whale tail there if you can't quite tell. And you can't see it on I don't think you're going to be able to see it on the screen on the video, but it has very faintly, you can see whale written in the water there, and it looks like a fjord in, I don't know if it's Norway or whatever, but I love that. And there's that blue floral again, and I use that to back a lot of my tags in this signature. Oh, and then this is a Ruby and Pearl paper as well. This was one of the tags I made when I was just playing with the idea, and I had purchased, I think, 2 kits, and one of them was one of Ruby and Pearl's kits. So I have a bound there. And this is actually an old men's, not an old man's, but a men's old like plaid shirt, and I just tore it to make ribbon. And that is actually in the same Ruby and Pearl kit as that. So, and more of these little tickets lined with different papers there. Both of them are my papers that will be in my Bohemian Papers kit. And that's the, what did I say, Old Book Vintage kit. Got blue floral paper. This is a piece of the Cotton and Twig page, and I just tore around the image to make a little tuck spot. More stenciling and another one of those whale stamps. This old wooden rigger ship and the Le Vintage chocolate paper. And I used a stamp or a punch to do this lacy edge. It is actually this punch. And I wanted to go back really quick here to my Bohemian Girl cards from, this is Calico Collage again, and just talk about how I made these for the little tabs. So this is from this punch, and I just did a strip. It's about, I don't know, between an inch and an inch and a half, and punched it out on each end of the strip, and then I cut the strip down afterwards, folded it over, the little bit of cardboard in between, and I did some gold paint on this part and put a little bit of paper on that. Anyway, I think it turned out pretty cool, and I think it looks great on these cards. So that's that. This is a Bira Craft paper punch or lace edge punch. Cotton and Twig. Again, you can see lots of writing space, and that's because I want these for writing, for recording my little poetry inspirations and ideas for characters and storylines. And then this is, you can see I did some little tickets as little corner tabs to hold this card in. And that is the Old Book Vintage shop again. These are both Cotton and Twig papers, and I did tea stain them and distressed heavily around here because I just love that look. And there's more of that stenciling. I think that looks like something that would be carved in an old ship. More of that ruby and pearl paper, that's the William Morris paper, and it's just so beautiful. And this was important for me to put in. For one thing, I love Charles Wysocki's folk art, and this was a puzzle, or it was made into a puzzle, and I had done it many years ago, and just really wanted, when I saw this picture on an image board, I was like, yep, I have to do that one, because I had done the puzzle. And Charles Wysocki called this Where the Buoys Are, because he's got buoys all over here. I call it Dreaming of Better Days, because there's actually, it's hard to see here on the screen, but there is an old salt here in a makeshift rocking chair, having a good sleep. I just thought it was cool. And then these are in one of the Ruby and Pearl kits. I think it is the Seaside Dreams kit. And I just have digital hobby helpers. They're nautical, I think it's called the Nautical Theme Kit or something. The blue floral. Won't take them both out, but these are little tickets that I decided I could do. I think they look like buoys because I cut them out that way, but I wanted to do that in here. Oops, sorry. Hit the camera. Okay, so going back over here, got a little card. Well, it's not really little, it's pretty big. But this again is one of my graphics, somebody's artwork here. And I'm not sure where I got the background, but I sure do love it. And amateur oceanography is definitely one of my things. I have a little whale tail charm here and some of those same teal colored beads from the broken bracelet that I've been using in this journal. And then the vintage chocolates paper. That's, I think, from the Ruby and Pearl Seaside kit, Seaside Dreams. And this is Milena Art Design or Studio or something like that. Let's see. Just a couple stenciled pages here. Of course, for writing, gotta have it. This is Cotton and Twig, and this is some more of that faux glassine to make a belly band. And then I got a bunch of just odds and ends cards. This was actually it was my photo, and I put James 2:17 on it, but that is a picture I took on the beach at Newport, Oregon, actually. I think it turned out pretty. I loved the color of it. Of course, I tweaked it in Canva. And this one I tweaked on OpenOffice. You can do these things on Word or OpenOffice. You can play with your images. Cotton and Twig, and then some stenciling. And this is another thing that I will put on my Amazon storefront for those who are interested. Some very pretty stencils out there. This, I think, is Ruby and Pearl, her Seaside Dreams kit. And this is My Porch Prints. That is her watercolors kit. And just a leftover scrap I had from another project I was doing in my other journal. More stenciling and Cotton and Twig. And then this is just a page that I folded over to make a pocket, and I had some blue bric-a-brac. And then these little stamps. Again, I'm not crazy about the stamps. I don't know what you would really do with them except for just using them for decorating, but maybe that's just me. This, I believe, was from Shabby Cottage Studio. And I did cut it down quite a bit because I messed it up when I was doing it. But when I put some of my gold paint, just kind of, I don't think you can see this real well, but these you can. It's just backed with some regular paper with some Distress Oxide, vintage photo Distress Oxide. And another of my hippie gypsy wagons. Yep, love those things. And then over here, I have a piece of Cotton and Twig and a couple tags. That one, this is one of my digitals. That is actually a Rembrandt, I believe. And I just labeled it Jade on Blue because it is blue and green mixed together. Very pretty. Blue floral. Very distressed. And then this is the faux glassine, and I made an envelope out of it. And I just glued the lace here. I have a sewing machine. I just don't like the sewing on most stuff, so I'm not going to use it very much. I just figure if I do sewing journals, I will probably sew in them, but I'd rather just glue them and have them be clean looking. To me, it just looks cleaner. So I have lace, and it's glued on this side over here, and then this is just a little lace ribbon with these little rosettes, and it has a blue cord running through it. I don't think you can see it very well on the camera. Bring it closer. Just barely. You can see it kind of here, kind of a blue-green. Anyway. So I think I mentioned in the first signature that my screensaver is titled Things That Make Me Happy. And one of the things that makes me happy is loon calls. And I found this picture, and it reminded me of, I lived in Minnesota for a few years, and on all the lakes, you can hear during the loon mating season, you can hear those loon calls, and just such a pretty haunting sound. More digital hobby helper. I love this little seahorse, kind of a mechanicalized, cool. The belly band is also digital hobby helper, and I have another little strip of cardboard here as a guide. And then there's some jewelry, just a seahorse and a starfish, and then more of those teal beads. Cool stenciling. Cotton and twig, I believe. And this is that Le Vintage Chocolat paper, and you've seen it a few times in here, and I didn't mention it. But this is printed in draft format, so it's very, very light. As you can see, it's a little easier to write on this if it's in draft format. And then here's the other side. This was actually an envelope, and find the first side of it here. So that was the first side, and then here's the other. And when I was sewing the signature together, because I did sew the signature before I put my little elastic bands in, wherever it is, I sewed the signature together. And when I did it, because of course it was my first journal and I sewed it wonky, so this tag, there's a tag in here, and it will come out, but it's a lot of work, so I'll just pass on it. But it does come out. It's just wonkily sewn, if that's a word. More little tags here in that ruby and pearl William Morris paper. And this was actually just something I was trying things out, and I decided to throw it in the journal. It was printed with this blue floral. And then little envelope here with a tag. Printed it on both sides, just a little card, and put the same floral pattern inside on the back of the envelope when I printed it out. Printed both sides. And then a couple Thomas Kinkade pictures that I did in Canva again. So love this lighthouse picture, and you can see you really can't see the colors as well as, as bright as they are on the card, but I tweaked it quite a bit in Canva, and then I put some of the pearlized paint in the sky and on the lighthouse and all that again. And then this is my absolute favorite Thomas Kinkade painting. And I tweaked it a lot. And again, put some pearlized paint on it. And I love his story. And sad that he's gone, you know, so young. But his art lives on. So this is Cherish Horse Graphics, her Dragonfly kit. And it was just one that I had and decided to throw it in here. It was not planned. And then this is Crafty Cat. She was doing some mailers and envelopes and stuff with just some layering. And I was enthralled with her process, so I decided to try it. And I wanted this to look like something that had been in a cubby in like a fishing boat or something for many years. So I grunged it up really well and made a little secret writing spot. So this is made from in the US, when you get the offers for credit cards, they come with a lot of extra paper with all the details. And I hate throwing them. I hate throwing them away, but I even hate putting them in the recycling bin, because that is also polluting and using a lot of resources to recycle all those things. So I would rather recycle by reusing. So I've saved a few of these, and that's what that is. I cut it down, you know, a good inch off of the side, and then I actually cut part of this off, and I think I ironed it so that I could refold it a little bit smaller. And just put glued papers on both sides, and did the layering on the one side. And that's what that is. Anyway, I thought it turned out pretty cool. And I used a little cutout heart as a closure. And again, just open this up. And that was an idea I stole from Crafty Cat. And I love her stuff. She's she likes the grunge, and so do I. So, and then just a tea stain paper, and you can barely see them. Little whale stamp here with some florals, and nice grungy coffee ring, cotton and twig. And then more evidence of my wonky stitchery. And so this is the faux glassine. And I had it was perfect until I stitched it in, and then it doesn't work very well. And I'll probably just go in and cut part of that off, so it'll, you know, work a little easier. And the back of that faux glassine cover on that signature, and then this is the inside of the back cover of my book cover, and then the back of the journal. So, oh, and then honorable mention. So I did foster care for several years. Took mostly teenage girls, but I had a few younger girls as well. And one of my younger girls made this in school one day, and she brought it home and gave it to me. She had made it to hang on the rear view mirror of my '89 Bronco, and So it was on the rearview mirror for a few years, and then when I had to get rid of the Bronco, I kept this and thought this would be the perfect place for it on my first journal. And I actually had a broken earring, this little sparkly butterfly. The other one was lost, and I just had this one, took it apart, put it on a bulb pin, and connected it to one of the chains here. So it has a nice, happy place to live now. So anyway, yeah, that's my first journal, and I hope you enjoyed the journey through it.